Apparently, Miami and all the Floridians are confused as to why Miami is empty for spring break. Y'all told us not to come. Y'all made a whole commercial that said y'all are breaking up with us and y'all don't want us to come for spring break because we're too rowdy, we cause this and that, Well, now y'all don't have the tourism that y'all want. Now the streets are empty for spring break, but that's what y'all wanted. Now they all came to Houston. That's what y'all asked for. So why are y'all confused when now the streets of Miami are empty? Y'all told us y'all didn't want us there. Y'all told us y'all were gonna arrest us. Y'all told us y'all were not playing games. You got it, big bro. You got it. Now we not coming. We over here in Houston. It's almost like y'all asked for what y'all wanted and y'all got what y'all want, but y'all still not happy. Like, fuck around and find out. Shit. At this point, if they were to change and say, oh, we're gonna have spring break in Miami again, it would never be the same. Y'all already messed it up. Y'all already made everybody come to Houston. Now Houston is the new spring break spot, and it's gonna be the new spring break spot for a little while now. Y'all did what y'all did, and y'all gonna have to live with it. Period.
Listen, this is y'all reminder that we are not traveling to Florida for any reason. Number one, because they built that alligator concentration camp. And secondly, because the city of Miami illegally canceled their November election, giving the mayor and their city commissioners another term. So if you have plans to travel to Miami or even Florida as a whole, here are some alternatives. First one I'm going to give y'all is San Diego, California. It has great weather. It's going to give you a beachy vibe. And it's multicultural. And if y'all haven't seen, SeaWorld in San Diego has been having a concert series. They've already had Yang Twins, Bow Wow, and Soulja Boy. They're going to be doing I Love the 90s tour performance. They're going to have Trina. So even if you don't go to Miami, you're going to get Miami. Genuine. And at the end of August, they're going to have a Turned Up Tour concert series that has Paul Wall, Petey Pablo, Jaquan, and Bubba Sparks. The next place we're going to be traveling to, instead of Florida, because Florida equals fascism, is New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is not going to give you the beach, but if you travel to places like Miami because you like the cultural festivals or the artsy scene, New Orleans is definitely going to give you that. Warm weather, great music, amazing people, and you're going to get a lot of history and soul. And another place that is a United States territory that I think deserves our support and tourism dollars over Florida is San Juan, Puerto Rico, which, if you're a United States citizen, does not require you to travel with a passport. San Juan is going to give you beach, it's going to give you great weather, good people, great food, and they also have an amazing nightlife scene. Bad Bunny is also going to be doing a 30-show residency in Puerto Rico, which largely puts a focus on the self-sustainability of Puerto Rico as a nation. Now, all 30 shows that sit 18,500 people have been sold out, but I'm sure the vibes and energy traveling there are going to be on one and give you the opportunity to support the people of Puerto Rico because although they are a U.S. territory, they cannot vote in U.S. elections. And let's call this campaign Freedom Over Fascism because we will not be traveling to Florida.
$17.33. That's how much I paid today for this coffee. I'm here and I'm just adding some numbers together and doing my budget because you know what? Today I asked my husband, where's the money? We're making the best we've ever made. Both earners, both incomes, good incomes and everything. And we don't have money. We're living paycheck to paycheck basically. So I put the numbers together and I decided to look at my budget. On June the 2nd, 2023, and I'm going to try to insert somewhere here the photo I took a shot of, how much I paid for it. On June the 2nd, 2023, the same exact coffee was $9.92. It's almost doubled in 2 years. Of course, my salary hasn't doubled. My income has not doubled. It went up a little bit, but certainly nowhere near that. And I don't know where my money goes. Every month, I'm struggling.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Anthony, and here we discuss the issues affecting Americans in general, especially currently that we have a lunatic at the White House. So today we will look at the issues affecting Florida residents, because they claim that Florida has the lowest cost of living. Is it true?
America is collapsing. before our very eyes. Restaurants are closing their doors for good in my city at a record pace. They're blaming it on a slow season, but I think it's something else. You can't tell me the amount of abandoned strip malls that I drive by on a daily basis is normal. I know you've seen it too. All these places just get replaced with the Capybara Cafe de Jour or a flower store to placate the masses, if you know what I mean. There used to be 24-hour diners, family-owned restaurants, even bookstores, I don't know, third spaces. Now, nothing. Luxury apartments that sit vacant forever. Grocery stores that have been closed for 10 years. So much wasted space in empty parking lots until some TikTok trend comes, opens for 6 months, and then that closes too. I know I'm not alone in this, but yet every single time I bring it up, I get all the bots in my comments telling me the economy's never been better. But I ask for who? Like 100 people at the top? So the billionaires are doing great. I don't care. People like you and me, we're struggling out here. All my friends live in vans. And if we are lucky enough to have apartments or houses, we're living behind locked doors and closed blinds because there's no community here anymore. Restaurants are just the beginning. They're the canary in the coal mine. Once they're gone, so are all of our meeting places, our birthday parties, our community, and third spaces. They're not just a place to buy food. They're a pulse of the neighborhood. And also, as a live singer, something hugely important to my job. I used to sing 5 nights a week. Now, I'm lucky if I can find a Sunday night gig. So I'm just here to say, if this is what a booming economy sounds like, it must be the sound of doors slamming shut. And I don't know about you, but I'm making my exit plan. We're moving to Portugal soon, where they still have cafes and restaurants that people actually go to. If you find that interesting, stick around. Because I can tell you this is not normal. And don't let internet comments gaslight you into thinking it is.
All right, Florida, here we are again. Another land grab deal. Keeley's Farms in the news. The Department of Health in Florida put out a statement saying that 21 people got sick from Keeley's milk. That's impossible. The milk's labeled not for human consumption, so if you consumed it and you got sick, that's on you, not on Keeley's Farms. Once that milk leaves this farm, there is no way to link it back to Keeley's Farm. It's impossible. There isn't a doctor in the world that can do that. So this is just a land grab deal by the state of Florida, run by Ron DeSantis and Monsanto. They don't want an independent farm putting out any products. They want everything to be Monsanto controlled in Florida. Just follow the money here, people. You can follow the money from the state of the Department of Health out, and you'll find where this all came from. Matt the welder, we need your help on this one. Keeley's Farm is a staple of New Smyrna Beach, and they need people like you to show that this is just a land grab deal. And you want to know how I know it's a land grab deal? Because I own the acreage behind this farm, and Ford Company had mineral rights on my land since 1940. So they know there's something in the ground here. I had to get the mineral rights taken off my land before I bought it. That way nobody could come in and take it from me. I guarantee you that's what's going on here. They're trying to take this land from her because they know what's underneath the ground. Don't let it happen. Give us some help. We need to help Keeley's Farm stay around because they're a staple of New Smyrna Beach.
I don't know if part of Florida they talking about, but they got to be talking about Orlando. You got to have 4 different hustles or 4 different jobs, for real, to make it in this economy in Florida. They talking about gas has been the lowest it's ever been, baby. Gas is $3.19 where I live. And it's for these new kids. These kids cannot make it on their own. These new young adults, they have to make 3 times the rent, which the minimum wage is not. I don't get it. How is this happening? I think the 35 and older club has figured it out because we know you got to have more than one hustle. But as far as going into young adulthood, baby, that's not happening. I don't know what part of Florida they talking about, but they ain't talking about the Florida that I'm from. It got to be somewhere else. I mean, they probably bringing in the most revenue because of the tourist attractions and all of that. But when it comes to living, just the cost of living in Florida is high as hell, high as fuck. What part they talking about? What part of Florida? Because if you're just trying to go into the workforce right now, baby, it's hard to find jobs. I'm talking about it's going to be stuff that you just really do not want to do to be able to get a job. I'm talking about you got to have a morning job, a night job. You got to do house, sell plates, and all other kind of stuff right now. I'm just saying, but yeah, y'all, they say Florida is the #1 rank, state that is growing. I just don't know how. I mean, I guess DeSantis doing his job. He needs to make sure he take them property taxes off, because why am I paying on property that I already own? So do I ever really own it? But that's a whole nother subject. Y'all know what to do. Get in the comments. Let's go. But what Florida, Florida Floridians, y'all tell me what part of Florida he talking about, because I don't see it.
After California and Texas, Florida is the second largest economy in US in terms of when you talk about states. So Florida is a tourist state. You saw the other day there was this guy from Europe who was arrested at the airport because they had a meme of JD Vance on their phone. Yes, a meme of JD Vance on their phone. We started a trade war with Canada, and their tourists refused to come to US. I don't know why. So the restrictions Trump has placed on tourist travel visas to US is affecting even tourists from coming to this country very much. So his policies in general, they are causing fear in the economy to the extent that people are holding their cash, they are not spending it because of the fear of uncertainty. And when you go to places like California, Florida, these people who depend on foreigners or who provide services for cash, they are not able to earn much. And you can see it's an issue even in most red states like Arkansas, where we have farmers protesting, North Dakota, where China is not buying their soybeans. So it's a mess at the moment. At the moment, we are in a mess as a country.
Experiencing a complete collapse. Over the next 3 years, you will see housing prices on the East Coast and the West Coast and the south of Florida drop 30 to 40% over the next 3 years. It's that dire in Florida. And what's causing it all? People are moving out. People simply can't afford to live in Florida. And many people can't afford to fix their homes from the latest storms. It's only going to get worse. If you have property to sell in Florida, you better hurry. You better aggressively get it done. Because over the next 3 years, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. It's going to make the 2008 crash look like a picnic. So what is going on right now? You're seeing mass exodus of people. People leaving Florida in droves because it's simply not affordable. Insurance.
One of the most popular states that Americans have been moving to in the past several years has been Florida. And for a lot of good reasons, they offered people a lot of things that during 2020, they were not able to find in other states, certain freedoms, and people really valued that. But now in 2025, a lot of people are fleeing Florida because of several different reasons, the cost of living being one of the most important things that they're battling with.
Florida is becoming impossible to live in, and I swear it's being done on purpose. And they're especially making homeownership so difficult. With the interest rates being as high as they are, we are also battling insurance prices being sky high. And people are completely priced out of homes that they could have bought 2 years ago or even last year. I have a friend that's selling her home because her insurance has increased over $10,000 in 1 calendar year with absolutely no claims. Car insurance continues to be high, and that's coming from somebody with a perfect driving record, no accidents. For the months of January and February, my electricity bill was over $250 for a 1,000 square foot condo, and I am not even running the heat when I'm not home. Even if you can't afford to buy a home, going into a rental is absolutely insane right now. I am currently looking for a new place to live. I pay $2,200 a month for that 1,000 square foot condo, and my rent is increasing to $2,300 unless I find a new place. Insane. And unfortunately, I'm stuck because there's no options in my kid's school zone that is in my price point.
Well, I am currently homeless. How did it happen? Basically, I was living in South Florida for 7 years, and with the insane rising cost of living, I couldn't afford it anymore. And we are talking insane rising cost of living. When I first moved there, I was paying $1,400, $1,500 a month for an over 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And now I was recently just paying $3,000 a month. That's nothing included for a tiny little 700 square foot 1-1. That's just one of my bills, okay? The insurance skyrocketed. They were actually trying to charge me $800, $750 a month to insure one car. I have no accidents, no claims, no nothing. Obviously, I can't afford that. Many other things skyrocketed as well, and so I was being hit from all angles, and I just couldn't afford it. I also don't have family. I grew up being abused, so I now just moved back to New England, and it actually is more affordable here. But there's also other things, like for example, in Florida, most places require you to make 3 to 4 times the monthly rent. I don't know about you, but I'm not making $10,000 a month, which is $120,000 a year. And most people looking for apartments aren't. I started a new job as soon as I got here. I drove all the way up from Florida to Massachusetts, started working the next day. And even though I'm making decent money, it's really, really hard to be able to afford to live in a hotel, because most people don't know, but all hotels now charge upfront incidental fees, usually $100 or more per night. And so it can add up really quickly, and it can make even the Motel 6 really expensive to stay in. So I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm running in place here. All of the money I'm making is having to go right to hotel stays and Ubers, because I had to leave my car in Florida because I can't afford to insure it, so I couldn't drive it. And so I am here, really embarrassed.
This is when realtors start freaking out, because we like to be busy. If we didn't like to be busy, we wouldn't be in real estate. So if you know of any realtors complaining about how busy they are, just look at them dead in the face and say, you knew what you were getting into. You never heard of a real estate agent that wasn't a busy person. So when we're not busy, we start to freak out. So can one of y'all or two of y'all please call me to help me sell your house? I would really appreciate it, because this girl needs to be busy.
Here are a few reasons why we decided to leave Florida. And if you're thinking about moving there, you're going to want to watch this video. And part 2 and part 3. Number 1 though is cost of living. So a little story time. We got an apartment in Tampa. It was like in a suburb of Tampa. So it was still about 35 minutes to 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour, from things that we really wanted to do, like the beach or even just see our friends. But this place, rent was manageable. It was okay. We had a 2-2. It was fine. Ultimately, we go to renew our lease because we really like our apartment and we have no reason to leave. We loved our dog park and everything that it offered, but we got a letter saying that they were raising our rent by $700. So we had to all of a sudden figure out how to move out of this apartment that we loved to a new apartment in Tampa. And let me tell you, that 60 days was excruciating. We couldn't find anything. Average price for a 1-1 in Tampa was going about $1,950, and a 2-2 anywhere from $2,300, $2,500, $2,600. It just went up from there. We did end up finding another apartment in Tampa. It was a 1-1, so we went from a 2-2 to a 1-1, but with a price difference of $200, $300, somewhere in there, depending on the month, because fees. To be honest, I didn't even like the apartment. But I will tell you, if you are somebody who's looking to move to Florida, just know that cost of living is absolutely insane there.
Surprise, Florida just ranked as the second most financially distressed state in the entire country. Only where Texas is worse. It's not just an opinion, this comes straight from Google data. So what does financially distressed mean? It means more people are struggling to pay their bills, searching for payday loans, rent help, credit card relief, you name it. They are going to Google for help. And Floridians are struggling to survive here. And let's be real, it's not just hard to see why. Rents in Florida have skyrocketed. Groceries and insurance are completely out of control. Wages really haven't kept up. Families are working 2, sometimes 3 full-time jobs and still can't get ahead. Meanwhile, Florida politicians brag about cutting taxes for the wealthy and corporations, while everyday people are drowning.
We all know that Republican states suck at, well, everything, just literally everything. Their poverty rates are the highest, their education scores are the lowest, their life expectancies are the shortest. So to rectify that, Republican leadership in those states have been trying to figure out how to do what their constituents elected them to do, which is cheat in the next election. Doing mid-decade redistricting to gerrymander even more because their policies are so unpopular, they know that unless they, change their policies, which we know they're not going to do, they are going to get absolutely massacred in the midterms. And all the while they're dreaming up these cheating schemes, they talk shit about states with functional economies and societies like California, New York, Illinois, and how awful it is for the citizens to live there. Now that's news to most of the citizens who live in these places, and news to anybody who's ever read, any statistics about state economies and realizes that Republican states rank pretty much across the board at the bottom. Ain't nobody going to Arkansas for the great economic opportunities and culture, mostly because I'm still convinced Arkansas is not a real place. Now, the 2 notable exceptions to the rules that every place under Republican leadership is a dystopian, federally dependent shithole with a horrible economy is Texas and Florida. Granted, they are still dystopian shitholes who come to the federal government with their hand out every time a hurricane hits or a cool breeze knocks out their entire power grid or they shut off the flood warning systems that they should have installed. But they both have very large economies. Florida is the 16th largest in the world and the 4th largest in the country, and Texas is the 9th largest largest in the world and the second largest in the country. Now, granted, that is more to do with geographic luck than leadership. Both states serve as a warm and cozy waiting room for God. With lots of coastline and good warm weather, they serve as a popular destination for tourists. They both serve as excellent shipping ports, or at least they did until the president decided to ruin global economic trade with these stupid tariffs that make no sense. And Texas has a lot of oil. Pretty hard to fuck an economy up when you've got all those things going for you. But leave it to the tiny tyrant on tires and Ron DeFascist in his disco shoes to do just that. Because Texas and Florida rank first and second respectively for states whose citizens are experiencing the most financial distress in the country. How are you gonna have some of the largest economies in the world and still bitches be broke down there? According to a new Wallet Hub study that measured financial distress across all 50 states by taking into account 9 key factors, such as bankruptcy filings, the number of counts in distress, people seeking out new debt, average credit scores, etc. And it turns out that people in Texas and Florida are in the most financial trouble in the country. In fact, the top 10 states with the people in the most financial distress are all Republican-led states. Now, Hawaii ranks as the least financially distressed, which I found surprising considering the cost of living. And West Virginia ranks 5th, which I found surprising, but when I thought about it some more, I suppose like all 9 people that live there keep the $18 they have to their name underneath the mattress in the trailer house they inherited from Grandpappy, so not a whole lot of financial metrics to measure there. But there is a lesson and a warning in this information. The lesson is that there's a lot more to economic measurement than GDP, and a rich state can have a poor population if that state doesn't use its economic resources to provide living wages and safety nets and infrastructure for its citizens to thrive. And we see this time and again in states like Texas and Florida that despite their economic power, people just cannot afford to live there unless they're already independently wealthy. That's why we're seeing a shortage of service workers in places like Florida, where retired boomers want their McDonald's, but McDonald's employees can't afford to live where the retired boomers want their McDonald's. And a state, regardless of how economically successful it appears, will not be able to afford to sustain itself if the working class cannot afford to live. This is our warning here. This is the proverbial canary in the coal mine croaking. See, as the economy starts to slow down, which it absolutely is, states like California and New York and Illinois show the effects more slowly because the state has resources for its citizens to get by. And because more of those resources are available, that makes those economies more resilient to recessions because those people can continue to go about their daily lives, consuming and working without as much interruption. And then in super poor states like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, etc., you don't see the effects of a recession as much because they're just basically always in a recession. But this type of financial distress for citizens coming out of major economic players like Florida and Texas is telling. These states, because they're heavily reliant on tourism and trade, which are some of the first things to slow down or stop during a recession, and because they don't provide the resources and infrastructure to help keep their citizens' heads above water when that economy starts to slow, those states get hit first and they get hit hardest. And the very first indicator of that is going to be people over-leveraging themselves to keep their heads above water and not being able to service those debts, and that is exactly what we're seeing now. Even if you haven't personally felt it yet, the recession is here, guys, and numbers like this are the proof, and all you really need to do is look around. We've all seen prices go through the roof, and travel is way down. International travel is going to come up $12.5 billion short this year compared to last year. Domestic travel is already down about 5%. Job numbers are so atrocious, Cheeto Benito fired the statistician who reported them, and with all of this financial distress in powerhouse economy states like Texas and Florida, and even California, which ranks 12th right now for financial distress, which is not good, we're going to start seeing those account delinquencies turn into waves of foreclosures. Now the Fed is flirting with lowering interest rates to help with the financial distress and lower job numbers, but that'll fuel inflation, so that's a double-edged sword that could turn back and bite us in the ass anyway. Basically what I'm saying is, we're fucked, and we're going to continue to get fucked because we've got a moron running the country. But hey, Texas and Florida, who got us into this mess, are getting fucked first, so there's that, I guess. Not much, but it's something. Try to save your pennies and dimes, people. You're gonna need them.
So Florida is in a mess right now, and unless they vote wisely in the upcoming elections, I don't think that there is a way out for them. You saw the governor there wasted millions of US dollars to construct a prison which was later closed by a judge. Yeah, the deportation prison which was being constructed, Alcatraz, which was being constructed in Florida. It was closed down. So you see the mess which is going on. People are these politicians are in Florida. They are spending millions of US dollars to construct things which are not affecting the lives of the citizens of their states in a positive manner. So it's a mess down there. And again, you saw even Ron DeSantis the other day, they removed the vaccine mandate in their state. And when he's removing the vaccine mandate in their state, his kids have been vaccinated. The hypocrisy. his kids have been vaccinated, and yet he is influencing other Americans who maybe believe his word or what he does is right, or what maybe they choose him to do what is right. So they believe that maybe that is a good thing. So he removed the mandate, but all his kids are vaccinated. So it's a mess out there. It's a mess. It's really a mess. Unless maybe we vote wisely in the midterms or maybe in the upcoming elections, I don't know. Yeah, it's still in a mess.